Ukraine's deputy prime minister says 7 humanitarian corridors are planned for the besieged cities of Ukraine today. And the Red Cross is making a fresh push to remove residents from the ruins of Mariupol. For weeks, the port city has been under siege by Russian forces. Estimates say more than 150,000 people are trapped in desperate circumstances and exposed to constant shelling. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Friday some people did manage to escape against the odds.
Arriving to relative safety after weeks of shelling, over 3,000 were able to escape Mariupol on Friday. But it's a journey full of risks. One woman recounts her fears as she crossed a Russian checkpoint. It was very difficult, she said. I was afraid they would take my son away. They made him throw his phone on the ground and trample on it because he had American music. An attempt by the Red Cross to deliver aid and evacuate civilians ended in failure. The organization said the lives of thousands depended on evacuations.
There is no plan B here. We have been working for weeks and telling the media about our efforts to get into Mariupol with aid and to allow the safe passage of civilians out of the city. Time is running out for the people of Mariupol. They are desperately in need of assistance, and they are desperately in need of leaving the city if they wish to do so.
Unable to wait, others fled the bombs in cars. The white cloth, a sign they mean no harm. As many as 170,000 are still trapped in this city that's been devastated by war. This former orphanage, now a makeshift bomb shelter for those who can't escape. We came here to the basement, she said. We stay here because we don't know what happened to our apartment. We ran here with what we had. The Red Cross said they will attempt once again to reach the city on Saturday in a bid to rescue the innocent from what is left of Mariupol.
And joining us now is Maria Sirichenko, a former resident of Mariupol, who is now sheltering in Lviv in western Ukraine. Maria, welcome back to DW News. Over the past month, you've been giving us regular updates on what you've been hearing from the port city. And now some of your friends and family, we understand, have managed to get out. What did they tell you?
Hi, thanks for having me. Yeah, most of my close people, my relatives and friends, managed to escape the city, and they share horrible, terrifying stories of their weeks under constant shelling with no food, no heat, no power, and no access to any information. They are very afraid.
And as incredible as it may seem, thousands of people are trying to escape, pretty much everybody, but some people, we're told, are trying to return. And I understand you actually have a friend who tried to go back.
Yeah, my close friend, she didn't find her parents in the city, and she couldn't find a way how to evacuate them with the volunteers because, as you know, there is no humanitarian help and no corridors, nothing for people to evacuate. So she decided to go there on her own and try to find her parents and evacuate them. Unfortunately, I have no connection with her for 3 or 4 days already, so I don't know where she is right now. But I hope that she managed to find her parents and get them out of the city, out of that help.
And we hope so too, of course. Listen, the city, as we've been saying, is being shelled nonstop. Much lies in ruin. I think a lot of our viewers will remember that maternity ward that came under artillery barrage, and the theater that was destroyed, which was sheltering people. Do you think, despite the devastation, that people, once peace comes, will want to go back to that city?
Well, it's a very hard question because this is our home, even despite the constant shelling and all the ruins that are currently there. But you can imagine that, for instance, in my yard, there are graves now. So I can't imagine when we can go back there. And we will need to rebuild the city and invest, billions of dollars to rebuild the houses and the infrastructure. But unfortunately, thousands of people have already died, and no one can return that. So I hope that we will be able to return, and Mariupol will be a Ukrainian city with prosper and everything again. So I have a dream to get back to my home.
Okay, Maria Sirichenko, former resident of Mariupol, thank you so much for sharing those harrowing stories and your dream.
Thank you.
DW correspondent Amnesia joins us live now from the Ukrainian city of Lviv in the west of the country. Amnesia, tell us about these attempts to rescue the residents of Mariupol, would you?
Since Thursday now, Red Cross buses under the direction of the Ukrainian government have been trying to bring much-needed aid, food, medical supplies into that besieged city of Mariupol, and to fill those buses with residents and bring them out of there. There's an estimated 170,000 people in that city falling victim every day to Russian shelling and fighting in the streets. So far, the mass evacuations have failed, but we have heard the good news that residents who were fit enough and lucky enough to find their own rides out of the city to the neighboring city of Berdyansk, also on the Sea of Azov, that they were able to take buses from there to the safer region of Zaporizhia, or to just continue along those humanitarian corridors to a safer space. But as I said, the mass evacuation of thousands of civilians that needs to happen in order to save their lives has not happened yet, and that attempt is going to continue until it's no longer possible.
And in that story, we heard about the fear that some refugees are feeling at Russian checkpoints. Why? Are there any credible reports of Russian soldiers mistreating them?
There's several reports of not only mishandling, but situations where civilians pass through a checkpoint after they've cleared the checkpoint, then they come under fire from Russian troops. We've also heard stories of people being abducted when they go through checkpoints, journalists and activists who are then forcibly brought to Russia and no longer heard of. Colleagues here have talked to family members who have had that happen to their family members. We've also heard that mines have been placed on roads leading out of dangerous areas like Mariupol, and many people driving over those mines at night fall victim to them, injuries and deaths. So the danger of fleeing to safety is sometimes greater than that of staying in the city. At least that's how some people are calculating it, Nick.
Well, it sounds like an incredibly dire situation. Just to talk about the politics here, President Zelensky has made a statement on what he expects Russia will do next. Can you give us the main points?
He's basically warned Ukrainians to remain cautious as they move back into areas that Russia has left after they've decided to redeploy troops to the east. So Lviv, where I am, Western Ukraine, is considered a safer area in the country. Lots of ex-residents of Kiev live here, and there's been talk in the last few days of us starting their lives again in Kiev now that Russian troops have mainly moved out of the areas surrounding the capital city. But what Zelensky warned is that as Russian troops leave, they've left a disaster behind them. He's warned of shelling continuing there from afar. He's also warned of Russian troops leaving mines for people who move back into the area just as an act of terrorism, even mining bodies or rubble so that when people come to remove dead bodies from the street or to pull away rubble, then they could fall victim to a mine that was placed there. So all in all, he said that as it becomes safer to move into these areas, people still need to remain highly cautious and vigilant as they try to begin their lives again.
Okay, DW correspondent Amnesia in Lviv. Thanks for that.